To make a powerful golf swing, you need to master the transition. So in this video, I'm going to show you a simple squeeze drill that'll guarantee you get the correct feel in the downswing and make it much easier to crush those golf shots. Let's get stuck in. Alrighty, Milo, let's talk about this crucial moment in the downswing that we see with the most powerful players in the game, really in how their body moves relative to the ground. And we see a big commonality between the players who have a lot of speed and really good ball striking by really this stage of the swing where the shaft is level with the ground, versus, let's say, the recreational golfer who might be struggling a lot. I want you to kind of run us through what players at home should be looking for by that stage of the swing.
Awesome. So the average player, what happens is they make their wind up, and then in transition, they immediately start to extend. Where what we see from the good players, as you described, we see a flexing into the ground, a dropping, we coined it the squeeze. So you feel like you're actually, your stomach or your ribs are getting closer to your legs or your thighs. So, and that's happening in this transition phase. It's what helps us shift pressure forward. And when we're dropping, it allows us to send more pressure back out of the ground because once I catch myself, I'm very heavy.
Yeah, and we do see a lot of players, they have this obsession with like keeping their head perfectly still. And within reason, yes, we do want a nice centered pivot to the top and the head not moving around violently, but we certainly don't want to keep our height in the downswing as such, do we? We want to see that there is a bit of that falling in compression into the ground. So let's talk about now here, Milo, of like the correlation between squeezing that body, getting it lower down into this position, and then actually increasing this lag angle and how they are coupled together.
Perfect. So you gave it a nice little preface there. So turn it up to the top again. Now if I create a little bit of a squeeze here and then this starts to pull around, it's pulling the club forward by virtue of your body now unwinding this left side, getting out of the way. But if you were to unload the angles, you would hit it fat. You would dump it in the ground. So now what we want to do is we just want to let this lead side continue getting out of the way, and that will allow your wrist to unhinge naturally by virtue of physics versus you actually physically creating it.
And throwing it away in that point in time. Yes. And I could certainly feel that. So that big pressure underneath my front foot there. So as I was getting to the top and I was getting that squeeze between my upper body and my lower, especially when you were using that feel that you were giving me there, that was a great sensation. I could feel the pressure down. And I just didn't really feel like I wanted to throw that club head away. My arms naturally unloaded into what we would see as a great spot for most players to win.
You definitely wouldn't want to unload the wrist from there. Your subconscious knows better. And so it starts to cure a lot of things. Also, your arms naturally started to connect to you. You didn't see the arms trailing way behind you. And it was all just created by a little squeeze.
Yeah, I love that.
So we can take a tennis ball or a head cover. We oftentimes use a head cover and just put it in the belt here. But with a tennis ball, if you can put it in a pocket right here like this. And now it gives me a reference. I'm trying to feel like I'm pinching that tennis ball between my big fat belly here and my leg. So, and that's what I want to feel in the transition. It feels really loaded and powerful.
Yeah. Okay, great. So let's get this super expensive training aid, chuck that in the back pocket just there. And as I swing to the top, now I've never seen this before. So as I come down into this position, you kind of feel that is then pressing in between.
Exactly.
My body. Perfect. Now, in space, we're going to see a lot of players, they might do this for the first time. Their hips might be back, right? So, what would you say that they...
So here's the key. Go back up there to the finish of the backswing. Your pelvis is basically on a 45, right?
Correct.
So we want to feel like we're squeezing on that 45, which that sends your pelvis to the forward, landing pressure back to your left foot.
So it's not spinning out early, right? And a lot of players, they're in a rush to get back to the ball. And before you know it, this trail hip fires out, this lead leg extends, and there is certainly no compression right there between that lower body and upper body there whatsoever. So in terms of a training plan for the guys at home, we need to make sure they are intentional around doing this sort of thing and they're not standing there just going, and that. What would you suggest that they do down at the range? Grab themselves a ball. There is no perfect sets and reps or amounts of, But what would you say is a good training plan for the guys to work on before they go and do this drill?
So I would say, first off, get yourself a head cover or something, set it there, and then start very slowly. So you're going to wind yourself up, and I would love you to exaggerate the feeling of overdoing it. And figure out how to deliver the golf club to the ball from a very overdone place. You're going to have to feel like your arms do a little less, your wrists are going to do a little less, and your body is going to be more active in transporting the club.
And I love that, because having anything in sense of feedback, right, is just so crucial for the guys at home, because our feel really lies to us all the time. We might feel that we're doing something. You would have students all the time that say, oh, I'm sure I was here. I'm sure I was here. Then we chuck it on camera. There's nothing like it, right? So having some sort of feedback, and I've got this feel, really compressing that ball as I go down and transition. And then that, to be honest, keeping my hips, what feels closed off for a little bit longer, really stores up all this energy in the right part of my foot here, right at the front of my lead foot. Then that allows me to then push that back to my heel and then explode up from there. So slow, conscious, a few reps of that, just drilling it in as exaggerated as possible. Don't be afraid to make this look almost ridiculous, correct? But just as you get the feel.
It's got to almost look ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the player that would be doing this very much so used to being in this position, it's just so different. And they're going to be okay with that, right? Okay, so I'm going to do a couple more little reps of these, using that hemisphere. Love this drill, never seen it before. Certainly something, guys, that I think you should try out if you find that you are right hip firing for the right hander, early extending. I've got a good feel there, mate. Okay. That one down there. Get that compressed feeling off the club face.
Thanks for watching this video. YouTube thinks that you would benefit from watching this one next. So click that card and it could be the tip that you need to take your game to the next level. I'll see you next time.